What is going on, everybody? I hope you are at least half as excited as I am for the start of the NFL tonight, Falcons at Eagles, and also excited for the beginning of this Pick'em series, weekly picks. Now, this is how this is going to work. Every week, I'll be doing these picks. Every third week, this video will be exclusive to my $10 MVP patrons on Patreon. Want to help them hopefully see a return on their investment in me, and as a thank you to you guys, this will be exclusive to you every 3 weeks. So in these videos, we will pick every game every week. We'll track my overall record against all the experts, but what's really important is how to make money, and that's going to come in the upsets of the week and my locks of the week. So we will track my upsets. Those are the ones I'm going to be most proud of if we do well like we did last year. That's some of my favorite betting, is picking those underdogs on the money lines and getting those over 100% returns on your bets. And then my locks of the week are the games that I'm most comfortable picking, and those are the bets you will see me making. And then once we get through the locks, we're going to do what I'm going to call the money bag tracker. We're going to start with $50. I'm actually going to make these bets, and we will see how much we can grow that $50 through the course of the year. If we lose it, might just have to put a little more in, but I'm feeling pretty good right now. And of course, guys, gamble responsibly. If you feel you have a problem, head to gamblersanonymous.org. And if you are interested in getting into sports gambling, I do have a referral link to where I gamble on Bovada in the description below. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out. And of course, follow my picks. For people that are new to gambling, you will see the odds throughout these videos, and I want to answer this before I get all these questions to people who are new. I'm just going to do this for this episode, not in the future, but you may be confused. You may see a little minus 100, 200, or a plus 105, plus 115. That number coming after the bet is how much you are actually paid for your bet. If it is plus, this is how much a $100 bet would pay. If it's plus 115, you bet $100, you win 115. That means you get your $100 back and $115. If it's a minus, this means it pays under even. Minus 120 means you would have to gamble $120 to win 100. I think you are all familiar with spreads and how that works, but if you see a number after a team, I will usually just list the favorites here, but if you see, say, -3 for Minnesota hosting San Francisco, this means if you bet Minnesota -3, they must win the game by 4 or more points for you to win your bet. If they win by 3, it's a push, you get your money back. If they win by 1 or 2, you lose the bet. And then you will also see money lines. This means that the spread is factored into the payout. Now, this is especially useful in 2 ways. Betting money line favorites to win the game in parlays that I like to use. They are simply safe bets that do not pay very well. And then money line underdogs, where you will actually get 140, 175% back if you think an underdog is going to win. And those are some of the big money makers that you'll see. And if you see the little fist logo next to my picks, that means they are an underdog that I actually like betting the money line on for them to win that game despite Vegas giving them points. So that's a little gambling tutorial there. Let's get into it here now with my week 1 picks, Atlanta at Philadelphia. Now, I wish I would have tweeted this out a ways back because I actually got Atlanta as a 3-point underdog on the money line, plus 135. They are now favored in this game by a point, so that is a huge swing. But I'm sticking with Atlanta in this one as now a 1-point favorite. I think Nick Foles struggles. Philadelphia has a ton of injuries. Nigel Bradham on suspension. I think in this one, Atlanta's just going to have more talent and better quarterback play. I've been burned by Matt Ryan in the past. Hope it doesn't happen tonight, but I like Atlanta. Buffalo at Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore in this one. That defense is going to be too much for Nate Peterman, even though I love me some Nate Peterman. He's going to have to really surprise some people to win this one. Houston at New England. I'm taking an upset in this one with Houston. I think the teams Houston will struggle with are the ones that can really get after the quarterback. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game, but I think J.J. Watt announces his return paired now with Jadeveon Clowney, possibly the first time we get to see this duo. You got Whitney Merciless back, even Duke Ejiofor, a rookie that I love. You beat Tom Brady by getting after him. Houston is a 6.5-point underdog in this one. Hard to bet against Tom Brady, but I think it's a good matchup for Houston. San Francisco at Minnesota. Tough game for Jimmy Garoppolo to come out and begin his elite status tour. I don't think he looks elite in this one. I'm sure people are going to come at me like, oh, you thought Jimmy Garoppolo was elite. Look at how bad he looked. Look, Aaron Rodgers occasionally looks bad against this Minnesota defense, especially at the bank. I'm going to take Minnesota in this one. I'm really excited for this game. I think there is upset potential for the 49ers, but Minnesota's just too tough at home. I'm just not quite ready to go with San Francisco in this one. Cincinnati at Indianapolis, two teams I'm higher on this year. I am worried about the Colts protecting Luck against this really underrated Cincinnati pass rush. I am very close on this one. I am actually going to go with the Colts. With that said, basically just comes down to I like Andrew Luck a lot more than Andy Dalton, and I do believe Andrew Luck will be back. I think the Colts defense a little underrated, but if I'm wrong about that, Cincy will probably take this one. This is one I could end up regretting, but we are going to go with the Colts this week. Jacksonville at New York. Now, I've shredded Jacksonville this year. I've planted my flag saying that betting on them to miss the playoffs is the best bet in all of football. That said, terrible matchup for New York. Fast linebackers to manage. Evan Ingram, of course, Saquon Barkley, a great pass rush to disrupt a terrible offensive line for the Giants. I don't think the Giants' defense is so good that they can shut out Blake Bortles. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Jacksonville finds a way to win it ugly in the end. Could see 4 or 5 turnovers for both teams combined in like a 16-13 win for Jacksonville or something. And then Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Everyone's hyping up Cleveland. Le'Veon Bell is sitting out. This is one of my favorite bets this week. Take Pittsburgh. One of my favorite things is to bet against the public trends. You're seeing that line start to shift towards Cleveland just with the Hard Knocks effect, the Le'Veon Bell sitting out effect. Look, I saw on Twitter, Pittsburgh still averaging 31.5 points a game without Le'Veon Bell. I like Pittsburgh in this one. I think they cover as well as 4-point favorites. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Don't need to explain this one. Tampa stinks, especially without Jameis Winston in the Dome in New Orleans. This one's a lock. Give it to New Orleans. Tennessee at Miami. We've got another upset here. Miami, I'm giving them the win. They're only a 1-point underdog at home. Tennessee, a very new-look team, a team that I think has a bit of an identity crisis. They're going to start to figure themselves out as the year goes on. Miami pissed off. Everyone, like myself, thinks they're going to stink. So a bit of a surprise pick here. I'm going to take Miami to win an ugly game. Kansas City at the Chargers. This is one of the best games of the week. Ultimately, I think the difference here is the Chargers' run game against the Kansas City run defense. I'm going to take the Chargers, who are 3-point favorites in this one. Seattle at Denver. Terrible matchup for Seattle. I'm taking Denver in this one. That D-line, that edge rush rather, is just going to get after Seattle. Now, I think it's a low-scoring game. Russell Wilson will keep it interesting until the end. And in general, I like Seattle more than most this year, but just too many pieces out right now for Seattle. Shaquem Griffin's going to start in this one. That'll be fun to watch. But I'm taking Denver to secure this one. And then Dallas at Carolina. I've got another upset here, Dallas. Now, both these teams had a rough preseason in terms of injuries. Dallas will be missing Travis Frederick. It's going to be tough to handle this really good D-line. But on the other hand, Carolina without both tackles, DeMarcus Lawrence, even Randy Gregory, who I think has a decent year, Taco Charlton, they're going to get after Cam Newton. I think Dallas has enough on offense to outscore Carolina in this one. I'm going to take Dallas. Washington at Arizona. Was surprised that Arizona is only a 1-point favorite in this one. I kind of like Arizona on that spread, to be honest. So I'm going to go Arizona. I think they win by a little more than 1. I like Washington this year, but right now Sam Bradford is healthy. Not sure Washington is going to dominate defensively. So let's move on. Chicago at Green Bay. The line shifting towards Chicago. They were 9-point underdogs. They get Khalil Mack. Now it's 7.5. So Green Bay still heavy favorites. I think they can pull this one out. I do go back and forth on that spread, though. Chicago sometimes has a way of playing Green Bay really tough, and sometimes they just get blown out. And then the Jets at the Lions. Now, I came really close to going with New York in this one. This is going to be my almost upset of the week, and we might start tracking that. We'll see. But I think Sam Darnold looks really great against a shaky Detroit defense. But Matthew Stafford at home, I could see, trailing by a touchdown, maybe even 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and Matthew Stafford turns it on like he always does. But I am going to take Detroit. And then the Rams at Oakland. Give me the Rams. Arguably the most stacked roster against the worst at least defense in the NFL. Does kind of have trap game written all over it, as you got the one team who's probably the most hyped and the one team who has now the least amount of hype. It could be interesting, but I just don't see Oakland winning this one. So now we've got my locks of the week, and we've got 3 this week. And I don't know if we're going to have this many every week. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 a week. But these are the bets I'm actually out here making. So we've got Atlanta, who I actually did get at +3, which if you could have that, that'd be great. I took them on the money line in that situation, but I do think just 1 point, I think they can cover that. Get your bets down for the first game of the year. It'll be fun. Wanted to put my pick out for that one, but I do feel very confident in it as well. And then I've got Pittsburgh -4 at Cleveland. I think they win this one by double digits. I think the hype has gone too far on Cleveland, team that still needs to figure out how to win. And Pittsburgh just doesn't have a lot of sex appeal right now with the Le'Veon Bell situation and the fact that they lost to the Jags in the playoffs and they don't have a great defense. Ultimately, I think Pittsburgh just reminds everyone the importance of knowing how to win and having an established culture. And then my last one here, not always going to have a favored team on the money line in my lock of the week, but it's just at the point where you could even just put money on this alone and you still get 50% back, which is not bad. I feel very confident in Denver winning this week, but I also threw it in here because it's going to look really nice in a parlay where you get a safe bet, but it also pays enough that it's really going to boost up a parlay. So let's take a look at the money bag here. We're going to start with $50, like I said, and these are the bets that I have placed. Atlanta, $10 -1 to win $950. Pittsburgh -4, $10 to win $870. And then we have put a little parlay together here. We've got Atlanta with the -1. Denver on the money line. Pittsburgh -4. So my 3 locks getting factored in here. We're going to take Green Bay and New Orleans, who at home, heavy favorites, I think are safe to win. Just $5 on that one. We'll pay $42.50. We'll see if we can win that one. So that's going to do it for this week's picks. Follow me on Twitter, guys, at TFG_football to get all my live reactions to stuff this weekend. And tonight, enjoy opening weekend. Merry Christmas, basically. Cheers as always, guys. We'll see you next time.